That's awesome.
Was an architect at OPN Architects from 2018 to 2020. And she is the interior designer and manager at Air House, which is their business. They've been married for 4 years. They have 2 dogs, no kids yet, and they are avid travelers. They've been to 30 plus countries. Now for their real estate journey. They've been investing in real estate since 2018. They started with house hacking, and they still do wholesaling and flipping. They have 4 doors that are long-term rentals in a partnership, and they have explored multifamily investments, which they have one they're going to tell us about later. And with short-term rentals, their first duplex in Nubo from November 2019 to current is in a partnership. They have a luxury condo that they got in 2020, and they launched their Air House business in 2021. That's an interesting year to get started. They are a one-stop shop for short-term rentals, management services, design services, and investment partnerships, all for short-term rentals. So we're all going to give a big high five and thank you for coming, Harshad and Ashita. We are very excited to hear everything you have to say.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Let me share my screen.
We are just
can't seem to share my screen, Paul, so you may have to let me share.
the same way that he has.
For the same way we did the recording thing. There you go. There you go. I got it now. Perfect. Thank you. All right. All right. Everyone can see your screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
So first, good evening, everybody. So excited to be here and appreciate you all taking out some time for listening to us. And Julie, thank you so much for inviting us to speak at the REI Club. We are super pumped to share about all that we have learned over the 2 years that we have been in this business. So let's get started and dive right into it. So Julie did introduce us. I mean, I will just start from how our real estate journey started. So just got married in 2017-18, and 2018 is when I moved in, and we were figuring out what my future looks like, whether do I start masters, do I look for a job. Everything was uncertain. So we started house hacking. We had 2 additional rooms in our own home that we started renting out. We love traveling. We wanted some extra cash flow to come in, and that would help us to travel. So that's what we did, and we still do. We still continue to do that. Then exploring different wholesaling and flipping options, we stumbled upon a fourplex, which has been running so good for us till today. But I don't know what, none of those things really interested us as much. Probably we were not enjoying it. And, being in the fourplex world, believe it, we have seen it all. Like we have seen our renters going out, trashing our property, and we have to fix it all over again. And again, someone new will come and they will trash it again. So it was just annoying for the cash flow that we were looking at. And probably short-term rentals was the world that met the travel, meeting new people, and also the whole design aspect of it, that I could transform a place in whatever theme I want, whatever, however I want it to look, and people would appreciate it. So that's how our short-term rental journey started. So I am going to go to the next slide and tell you why we started.
So just why Airbnbs, right? So just some of the highlights. If you normally look at Airbnbs just from a financial standpoint, if you have a property that would probably rent long term for, let's say, $1,200 a month, with short-term rentals, you could get $3,000, $4,000 a month. So it's just, you can 3x or 10x your cash flow. And that is the biggest seller for short-term rentals. And that's really what gets everyone excited about it. On top of that, with short-term rentals, you can maybe buy something as a vacation property as a second home, and you can get better financing. So you could get something down for 10% down, you can buy a property versus an investment property. You could be 20, 25% down for buying something. Now, obviously, you can still combine it with all your creative financing, you can do seller financing and all that sorts. All of that still applies. It just opens up one extra tool in your toolbox to do that. On top of that, if you own this property, just like a rental, long-term rental, you have all the real estate benefits. You get the appreciation, you get the tax benefits out of it. It's a great hedge against inflation. So you still have all of those pieces intact while still enjoying 10x the cash flow with Airbnbs. So we have run into situations when we would be analyzing a particular deal or house in a market, and it wouldn't make sense, right? It's like 1% rule, or you're looking at, it's got to do at least like $100 or $150 a door, and it wouldn't make sense. You start looking at it from an Airbnb short-term rental, and if it would work for that, you'll be making $1,000 a month, and it completely changes your game. This gives you another exit strategy, and just a deal that wouldn't make sense otherwise starts to make sense. Today, where we are with just all the popularity Airbnb is getting, it's becoming so easy to find good deals in almost any market. Even today, even in the seller's market, you can find good Airbnb short-term rental deals that would cash flow and work, right? The other thing we ran into was when we were kind of exploring multifamily, it was a struggle because you get all these big buyers with a lot of experience and a lot of money, and they will put better offers than you can as a newbie. So we played around in that world a little bit. We struggled a lot to even make a lot of good roadways or get our offers accepted in the multifamily world. And with short-term rentals, it's really hard for like the big institutions to come in and just buy a whole bunch of Airbnbs, because it's very personal. It's very like a guest experience. It's not standardized. Not all properties are the same. Every property is unique. Every location is unique. So there are some roadblocks for like the bigger players to come in and just buy like a whole bunch of these properties and a whole bunch of short-term rentals. They are there, just not as many, right? And within Airbnb itself, there's probably one or two of the strategies where you can get involved with Airbnb without owning any real estate. And you'll see a lot of gurus on YouTube talk about that. Like, hey, get an Airbnb. You don't have to own any properties, no money down. Yes, and that is true. It is absolutely possible to do that, to go that route as well with Airbnb and make some good cash flow. But for us, really, I mean, kind of what we were talking earlier, other than it making sense financially and as a good investment, we got into this more for our lifestyle. It just kind of fits in very well. We love to travel. I mean, we envision maybe it would be great to maybe own a vacation home, maybe on the beach, just like, Paul's background, maybe make that real, right? And have a condo out there. And I have another vacation home, maybe in the mountains. I love skiing. I always thought about maybe buying out something in Aspen or in somewhere in Colorado that I can just go in December and ski, or have another one in the mountains. We love the Smoky Mountains area. So that's another place. So the way we envisioned it, wouldn't it be great that you can now buy all these properties, own all these properties, that you can go enjoy yourself. You can go vacation yourself, especially in this work from home thing that we're moving towards. Just go somewhere, work from home for a while, and still have those properties not only pay for themselves, give you enough cash flow, give you thousands of dollars worth of cash flow. And that is very much possible in this world of short-term rentals. And that's what gets us really excited. So even though you can find good deals in any market, what we do is we generally ask ourselves, okay, where do you want a vacation? Where do you want to go for vacation? And we then find those markets first. And that's where we start looking. If I want to go vacation somewhere, what kind of house do I want? What do I want? And I'll go find that market, right? So what we have found with just one or two good cash flowing short-term rentals, you can get to that. Everyone talks about financial independence and kind of replacing your salary. So just kind of like not getting ahead of ourselves, but like with the two short-term rentals that we have over here, we got to the point where we're able to replace Ishita's salary. And that has allowed her to basically quit her OPN architecture job and then just kind of focus on short-term rentals and just become a better work-life balance for us, right? So that's kind of like our why. That's why we do short-term rentals in the background. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the market. I'm going to start with the US market, then we'll go down to like the regional, the rural markets, and then finally to Cedar Rapids. All right, so a lot of things have happened. Obviously, pandemic, COVID, that has disrupted all the different industries. Of all the industries, short-term rentals also got impacted, obviously. People were not traveling as much, but it has rebounded the fastest. So what happened back in March when COVID hit, people stopped traveling everywhere. And there were a lot of these people who were hosts who owned these short-term rentals at that point. A lot of these people, they shut their doors. They stopped hosting anymore. Maybe they were not making rental payments. Maybe it was not working out for them. So if you look at the top right graph, that's coming in from AirDNA, which is like one of the firms that does research on this. If you look from 2017 all the way to 2020, you see a steady growth in short-term rentals across the country, right? And just about at 2020, you can start to see it just plateauing out. That's when you're not growing anymore, it's just gone flat, right? So that's basically, these are the people, these were the hosts. They were like, hey, it's not working out anymore. People are not gonna travel. People were scared. They went offline. They were not buying anymore. They were not like more hosts coming on the market. On the contrary, what happened is if you look at the bottom right, that's a chart of the revenue for the entire travel or lodging industry. That's combining hotels as well as short-term rentals. Now, in COVID, even today, people are still not comfortable going and staying in hotels. They would want something secluded. They want something that's more private. They want something that is a unique experience, right? People didn't even know this was an option before. Now with the Airbnb IPO and the popularity it has gotten, more and more travelers are on these platforms. So what has happened is because of COVID, the demand that is now growing, there's all this, people just want to get out and want to travel, but they have found short-term rentals. So a lot of that demand has migrated from the hotels to the short-term rental space. And we only see it going up. We only see it increasing. And if you just think of short-term rentals as a real estate vehicle, there are many ways to make money in real estate, right? So you have land deals, you have wholesale, all these different things. Some of these things have been around for a long time, like long-term rentals, apartments. They've been around for years, for as long as you can remember. Short-term rentals, that's relatively new. It's in the last 5 to 10 years it's really picking up. They used to be there before, but we just didn't have the technology before, like Airbnb, VRBO, how easy it is to book things, how popular they were. It's just becoming more and more common today. So when you look at short-term rental market today, we're in a very initial stages of its growth cycle. So, that's kind of where we kind of subjectively put ourselves at the initial stage of this growth market. So we are just kind of putting everything down in short-term rentals, because we really see this as really, really growing and expanding and exploding in the next few years over here. This is overall for the entire US market, right? So now let's kind of dive deep a little bit into this. The way in short-term rental markets, what we also saw is like some of the bigger cities, right? People normally travel either to big cities, you go to New York, you go to San Francisco, some of your bigger Chicago, things like that. Then you have people going in and traveling to like your destinations. You're going to like a mountain town, like Gatlinburg, Tennessee, or you're going to like a Lake of the Ozarks, or you're going to like maybe a snow ski place up in Minnesota. So these are your destination towns. And then you have places like Cedar Rapids, which we don't really have any major attraction. These are not like destination places where people go to, but they are rural towns. You have visitors coming in, you have people coming in to visit families, you got travelers coming in. These are like smaller towns, right? So when you look at it, you can divide your entire base of vacation travelers by urban markets, suburban markets, your vacation destinations, and your rural markets. And some of the data that we are looking at in this past year, if you look at the chart on the top left, starting in January, this is year over year in 2020, last year, the green line is the small city, rural areas. So March is when COVID hit, we were at the peak of it. everything went down, right? Everything went down. It was like negative 30%, negative 40%. But if you look at the green line, which is your small rural city areas, they were the least impacted and they were the fastest to rebound. So we definitely got a lot of benefit because of COVID. We did not suffer as much as some of the short-term rentals in like Chicago, for example. Some of these areas, like in San Francisco, they still cannot reserve, they still cannot book. So they're heavily hit, right? Now, there has been a big shift in the mindset for people just because of COVID. Now, VRBO, which is just like Airbnb, they did a research, they did a survey just about a couple of months ago in March, and as per that survey, 60% of the families they want to visit an outdoorsy location versus an urban location, and that trend's probably going to stay for a while. It will eventually go away, or eventually like wade away, but it will take a couple of years to get there. You know, people are becoming more and more used to now driving to places. They don't want to fly. They want to like drive to these destination towns, right? So all of these is really, really helping places like Cedar Rapids or rural markets across the country to really help with the short-term rentals, to see the growth, to see the revenue come in those markets, right? Now let's compare Cedar Rapids. There's a lot of data here, so we'll just kind of walk through from left to right. So when you look at long-term rentals, normally what you're looking at is you look at how's the crime in the neighborhood. You look at how's the job growth. You look at the population. Is the population density growing up, going down? Those are the things you would look at when you think, is it a good market to invest in? When it comes to short-term rentals, you're kind of in the hospitality world. You're thinking like hotels. You're thinking like, okay, how many visitors I'm going to have? What's the seasonality going to be? Are we going to be renting just as much in winter versus summer? Just so that you can manage your cash flow, right? What's the growth? Are the number of visitors growing? Are they stagnant? Is it going down? And then the big thing in the short-term rental world is regulations. Right? There are all kinds of regulations put in place just because it's so new. Every city, every state is coming up with short-term rental regulations. So that's always a big risk factor in this, is that are the regulations friendly? Are they going to allow you to do short-term rentals easily? Are you going to have to hide? So things like that. So keeping all that in mind, Cedar Rapids is actually considered an A-grade market for short-term rentals. It's got 94 out of 100. Now, having said that, there are better markets out there. There are markets that do 100 over 100, absolutely, right? And those are some of the markets that we are interested in as well. But at the same time, if you're looking at investing in Cedar Rapids, it is not a bad market. It's a good market to get in with short-term rentals, right? So the average daily rate, this is just very average. They differ a lot based off if it's a studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 4 bedroom, but you're looking in that 100, 120 range. There's not a lot of variability between those things. And overall, in Cedar Rapids today, there are about 115 active rentals. I mean, imagine, it doesn't seem like that much, but there are about 115 active rentals in the market or close to that. Most of them are either 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom. So there's shortage for like the bigger homes. We don't really have a lot of places that have 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms. And our duplex, we can kind of combine it. So we are able to like accommodate like 14 people, 16 people, and we get a lot of demand for that. We get people always asking that, hey, I have a big family, I have a wedding coming in, I have a wedding party coming in, can you accommodate 14 people? Can you accommodate 16 people? So there is definitely demand for the larger groups in this market as well. So if you see the rental growth, it has been steadily growing. It has just been steadily growing up and up and up. At the same time, the number of people that are hosting, that are doing Airbnbs in this market has also gone up. So the competition is definitely going up quite a bit compared to where it was even a year ago, right? So more and more people are finding out about this, more and more people are getting comfortable with this. So you gotta be competitive, you gotta be staying ahead of the game, absolutely. But there is a lot of demand that supports the growth that we see in this market today, right? Now, just as a disclaimer, right? Just because you're in a good market doesn't mean that your Airbnb, your short-term rental is going to do good. So compared to like long-term rental, sometimes, you just do your basic room, everything is just like, you have a good kitchen, you have everything well maintained. your rents are going to be within a ballpark. They're going to be within plus 50, plus 100, so on and so forth, depending on location. Short-term rentals, they can vary widely. The amount of money you can make can be huge. Same property next to each other, the way it is managed, the way it is decorated, the way it is marketed, the amenities you provide, the kind of customer service, the guest service you provide, completely changes how much money you can make. So you guys, if you guys have probably used Airbnb or app, you're gonna scroll through your listing, you see pictures. You're not gonna click on every other link. You're gonna see, oh, this looks attractive. Then you're gonna go through it and see what other amenities you guys have. So it really makes a big difference what all you can do as an entire product that you can provide to the guest. That's really gonna figure out how much money you can make. You're still going to rent. It just makes a difference if you're going to rent at $20 an hour, or you're going to rent at 50 or 100, just completely changes that. So along those lines, Ishita's going to walk through like 2 case studies. So I'll let you do it.
So the 2 rentals that we have in town, I'm going to open it in front of you, and we're going to walk through how each listing performs. And both the properties have a very different nature to it. One, our duplex is sitting right in the Newport district, amidst the very upcoming a great location. So in every real estate deal, you look for location. Same holds true for STR. You want a great location. Along with great location, you want your design, furnishing, the layout, the guest management, everything to be in the right manner to perform well. And the other property is in a more nature-esque in Iowa, in the North Liberty. It's just on the river, so it's more like an escape for people to come in and enjoy, like a getaway. So I'm just going to walk you through. So starting with the Newport duplex, the way we got into this deal was with a partnership. The owners had the property, it was sitting idle, they were looking for long-term rentals. When we met them, we pitched them the idea, what we have planned for, and they were open to it. They were willing to experiment. It was new for them, it was new for us. We went in with our sweat equity, and we decided to put in our investment in terms of furnishing the place. So, and we decided to split the profit about 50-50. But I just want to focus more. I'll walk you through the numbers and stuff, but also want you to focus on the way the photography is, the way the layout is, and the way the interior design has the impact in short-term rentals. So walking you through the numbers for 2020, this is the whole year from January to December 2020. When the owners had decided, they had estimated around $1,200 as their revenue coming in per month if they were to long-term rent it. But getting in partnership with us and putting it on short-term rental, they were able to make $1,700 a month. So it was an added extra cash flow for them. On top, they had benefits like the property was maintained on regular basis. Every turnover, you have a cleanliness. Every quarter, we do a deep cleaning. Everything is maintained on a very quarterly or annual basis. There were no tenant problems. I would not say like no tenant problems, but there were like probably 2 in 100 guests would probably throw a party randomly, and then we would have to resolve it with the Airbnb. But they are very good to work with and resolve it. But no major tenant problems. Mostly the tenant come and they treat it like their home, because they're looking as it is going to be an extension of their home. And the other benefit is that the owners as well could use this home as for their guests or the visitors if they were in town, right? So it was accessible to them while it was rented out on the short-term rental. For us, when we went in, the furnishing investment was around $15,000 from our side, and the sweat equity that we said, we made $1,702 per month, which allowed us to take all the investment that we had put in a year's time. which was great because luckily we ended up purchasing the property in 2021, in February of 2021, with the creator, with the seller financing option. But had we not, and we were still in the partnership deal, we would be just positive cash flowing every single month. Yeah, so I'm going to walk you through another property and tell you the difference. So this is our property at Riverside Villa in North Liberty. This sits right on Iowa River. It has spectacular view. What I am going to run you through is, when we bought this property, the previous owner was vacation renting this place. But when we bought the property was 1970s built. It was a very wood log cabin looking home, which did not resonate with Harshad and I, because that is not the home that we would imagine ourselves going. It was very dark. It was not, it was not airy. So we went in during the COVID month. We took the time, we were working full time. We took the rest of the time renovating the property, where 80% of the work was done by us. So I'm going to show you some before and afters, how the property looked and what we did with it. Now, looking at the pictures and showing you how we transformed, literally reflected us on the revenue chart. I'm just going to go back on some of the numbers I'm going to walk you through. So when the previous owner was renting the property, he was making, it was managed by the Evolve vacation rental company, and they were grossing around $38,000 a year. And we started renting it mid-November till May. We are already at 50,000, and we anticipate to have an annual projection about 80K on this property of ours. And plus, with the renovations and the work that we put in, we were able to appraise the property at 475, getting us around 100K in equity alone. So it was a great, sweet deal for us. But I just want to walk you through how the nature of both the properties is different. The average lead time in our Newbo property is around 1 to 3 days. Like, we get a booking probably, if the day is vacant, we'll get the inquiry like yesterday or in the morning. And a property like this, where people are envisioning a vacation, a getaway, is almost a month or two ahead in advance that we get bookings. The average length of stay here is around 3 nights, and the other Newbo properties around 2 nights. Average daily rates in this property during winters, we were charging $200 a day, to the highest being, average high being around $450. Whereas in that, the lowest is $80 to a high being around $150. Occupancy on the other property is around 90%. The occupancy here is 60%, but we ourselves use this property quite a lot. That is the reason the occupancy is reflecting what it is. Yeah, so the interior designing, the way it has, like, photos, the minute you view the listing on the site, it gives you the first impression, and first impression is everything in vacation rentals. People, when they're booking the place, they would want to imagine what they would be doing. So if you see the photos between before and after, you would, I mean, it just gives you, like, I can't envision how my family would sit around, how will they enjoy the vacation, or how are they enjoying the gathering, or in the evening after dinners. So you have to put in the extra thought and effort that goes into the vacation rental designing, that enables people to click and end up that deal in a booking. So even, like, you have to get like a comfortable layout, comfortable furniture, very durable furniture. Crisp white sheets is what we go to, because it looks clean, and it looks, with the whole COVID, you want it to look more sanitized and more cleaner. And just adding more personal touch, like, being in Cedar Rapids, letting them know something about the city, letting them know about something about the location. Or we mostly add a welcome basket for our guests, from just warm and welcome. We just want to welcome them with some warmth. Mm-hmm. So just with a bottle of wine, that is how we welcome all our guests. So, and the third being, you can see we have not increased any beds or anything. It's like, in terms of construction in terms of rooms. We have not increased. It's the same layout, but just by increasing the number of beds in a room, having 2 queen beds, meaning 2 more heads, and more heads it's directly proportionate to more revenue generation. So and even the lower living room that we have going on, we converted into rec room, so catering to all the age groups, right? A family is going to come, or 2 families with their kids. What are the kids going to be doing? What are the adults going to be doing? So we have like a rec room, game room. Then we also have some arcade machines. We have some pack and play games. So just people love it. We have some reviews where guests have even told us that they did not even feel the need to get out of the house because everything they could find in the house. So it is great when guests leaves you such reviews. So yeah, these are some of the reviews that we have where they see the effort that we have put in curating in the space, or the decor. They have appreciated the decor that we have put in. They have appreciated our hospitality, or they think that it is like, probably some of them feel that it's the best Airbnb they have stayed at. So such beautiful, and these are the financials that Harshad will run you of the.
Yeah, so absolutely. So I mean, again, just being absolutely, this is directly out of our QuickBooks, and
Yeah.
so I hope you guys appreciate us sharing all this financial straight with you guys. So again, I'm slacking on my accounting for this month, so I only have quarter financials for this property. I haven't done my numbers yet for the quarter 2. So this is from January, February, and March. And on the left-hand side, you can kind of see the various income streams. So you got bookings coming in from Airbnb, from VRBO, and then we also have direct booking. So that's kind of huge, right? Because initially you're going to get a lot of people coming in from Airbnb and VRBO, but once they stay with you, they would probably want to book with you again. And you need to find a way to maybe capture that and maybe find a way so that they can book with you again. So they don't pay all the Airbnb commissions, and neither do you. So we have a website we have set up, so you guys can go and directly book there, and both end up saving money. So that's a big component of it. Now we do have a little extra charges in terms of pet fees and extra guest fees. We don't really intend to make a lot of money out of it. I think those are more in terms of just, we understand who's coming in, if they're bringing pets, so on and so forth, but we do make some money out of that. And then the 4,900, the income other that you see, that is from events. We actually just had our first wedding at our property. That was 2 days ago. It was a micro wedding, absolutely beautiful. Actually, this just came in, so I can just show it to you guys. Sorry, I don't even have it open over here. Maybe I'll show it you guys later, but it's beautiful. We never imagined hosting someone's wedding at our home, and that was that was phenomenal. It looked very pretty. They did a wonderful job. So that's just another stream of income. You know, with events like that, you can charge a little bit more. We charge an event fee on top of the regular rates. So that really helps out. So all in all, in just 3 months, we brought in about 21,000 gross. So in terms of expenses, I'm going to hide this video on the side here so I can see what's going on. Yeah, so, you know, the biggest expense that you're going to have with short-term rentals is cleaning. And that's the one you do not want to cheap out on, because cleaning is the most important thing when it comes to short-term rentals. And we pay our cleaners very well. They're very happy with the way we pay them. We generally pay them about whatever the market rate is. So that's why that's one of the biggest expense we do see. There also are our eyes and ears. So they're the ones normally going into the property after a guest has checked out. So they are the ones that would tell us if the guest has kept the property well, if something's missing, something's broken, so on and so forth. So that's like the most important partnership we have. Now, obviously, this property had a big yard, so we have a little bit more landscaping and groundskeeping cost. And repairs and maintenance, it's actually a lot less than what we initially had planned for. And that's kind of been lessons learned. So we just changed the kind of furniture we have purchased for this property. So we generally, instead of, you know, buying like IKEA furnitures, we generally go for something a little bit more durable, even though we have to pay a little bit extra for that. It really helps out downstream because they don't damage as much. They don't break as much. So, and you know, that's why the repairs and maintenance generally tends to be a lot less. But we still run into like, you know, cloth and bed sheets and things like that that go bad that we have to replace every now and then, or like spatulas or spoons or glass breaking, for example. things like that. So then there's some expenses for guest amenities, so like wine and coffee and anything else that you're doing, especially for them. If someone has a birthday that we know of, you'll send them a cake, things like that. And then you have the toiletries, so cleaning supplies, cleaners, so on and so forth. So all in all, our expenses, totally come out, including a mortgage, around $14,000. So our net income was in the 3 months from January, February, and March is about $7,800. So that's about just north of $2,500 a month, and that is net. And that is an off season. That is January, February, and March. I'm pretty excited to see what we would do in the summertime. So, fingers crossed, and pretty blessed with that, to be honest with you guys. Now, just for comparison's sake, right? So let's say if you were to put this property on long-term rental, and that's coming in from Rentometer, I just pulled it up from there. So the Rentometer says that on long-term rent, this home would average about $1,600 a month. This is before you even pay your mortgage. This is before you do any of your expenses if you're paying for any of it that your tenant is not paying, right? So you guys can hopefully see the difference, $2,600 net versus $1,500 gross with long-term rentals, and why it completely changes the picture here, right? So moving on, getting a little bit into, if you guys want to get into Airbnb, if you're not already there, I heard some of you guys are already doing it, which is great. Absolutely love it. So there are 3 different models in Airbnb. One is that's advertised a lot these days. It's called the rental arbitrage. The basic idea is that you go to an apartment complex, you rent out 1 or 2 apartments long-term, let's say for $1,500 a month, and then you will go in and put in furniture, basic furniture, you would put in whatever you need to put in. And then you put that property on short-term rental on Airbnb and VRBO. On Airbnb, VRBO, you're gonna make maybe a lot more money. You're gonna make about $3,500 to $4,000 a month, and you keep the difference, right? It's a great strategy if you don't have enough money saved up for down payment. It's a great way to get in and make a lot of cash flow. We have not done that ourselves yet. Not saying we won't, but it's just something that doesn't kind of appeal to us in our long-term strategy here. And then the ownership model, that's really the best one. So you get all the benefits of owning the real estate, the tax benefits, appreciation and all that. And it's in your full control. You don't have to worry about your rental lease getting over, things like that. Obviously the hurdle with that is how fast you can grow, right? So when you're trying to buy a lot of these properties, just like long-term rentals, you need to come up with a down payment, and you need to have enough DTI spread to get a mortgage, things like that. So it just takes a lot longer to grow when you're trying to buy all these properties. With rental arbitrage, you can grow really, really fast, right? What we like to do is just kind of best of both worlds. We bring something, we know that we manage short-term rentals very well. We understand this market very well. So what we like to do is just partner with people, someone who probably, doesn't want to get involved and learn everything from scratch. They don't want to necessarily know all about STR and worry about guests and this like that, but they want to get good return on their money. So they just want to be financial partners with us. So that's kind of what we like to do, is partner with people and then just kind of create win-win situations, right? I don't know how we're doing on time, but okay. So even the numbers look good, there's a lot that goes on in the background when it comes to like running these Airbnbs, right? So just like long-term rentals is considered passive investment. Short-term rentals, Airbnb is definitely not. It's very much an active business. Now there's a lot of automations you can do. You can have a lot of systems that will minimize it quite a bit. You can outsource it, you can do all that stuff, absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's still an active business. So I'm just trying to give you guys a flavor of what all goes in the background. Each of these things can be its own discussion. So if there's anything specific that you guys want to talk about, we can discuss that in Q&A later, but I'm just going to quickly touch on some of these things. So first thing is maximizing your revenue, right? So I talked about the direct booking website. So you need to have a website set up and some kind of an engine so you can take payments, things like that. Multi-OTA marketing, what that means is that there are hundreds of these websites where you can book vacation rentals. You have Airbnb, your VRBO, Booking.com, Tragoda, and countless ones. So you need something in your back end that can advertise on all these markets and then sync up so that you don't get multiple double bookings. And then, when you update something, it gets updated everywhere else. And design, Ishita spoke a lot about how important design is. And then dynamic pricing. So dynamic pricing is very key to maximizing your revenue. So think of dynamic pricing just like hotels. So if you're trying to book something on 4th of July, it's going to cost you $300 a night. If you're going to book something in the middle of February, that may be 80, right? So you got to understand what the demand is in the market, like what days are more popular. So you change your rates every day. You change the number of nights you want reservations for every day. And that's how you can maximize it and don't leave as much money on the table. You can absolutely keep it simple, just rent at flat. Hey, I'm just going to do $80 a night. Doesn't matter when. You can absolutely do that. You'll still get bookings. You'll still make money. You're not going to maximize it, right? On top of that is the listing optimization. So just think of what would attract people. You need to understand what kind of people are coming to your property. So I can't put in the same kind of description I would for a North Liberty property as I would for a Nubo property. So in North Liberty property, I'm catering more to families, someone who's coming to vacation. So the way I would message, the way I would have my pictures is going to be different compared to in Nubo, where you generally get a lot of people that are coming last minute, they're coming in for the weekend, generally younger crowd, or they just want to come and explore Cedar Rapids. So a lot of that goes into the SEO and the optimization side of things. Operations. So this is all your back-end operations. So kind of what I mentioned about, you're going to have some kind of a system for your inventory management, right? So let's say you have towels and you have bed sheets and you're providing coffee. You need to know when you're running low. You need to know when they have something damaged so you can order it. You can restock it. You need to find a way to keep track of all that. So you need some kind of a system that does that. Cleaning, again, as I mentioned, really, really huge. The way we do our cleaning is we have checklists for our cleaners so that sometimes they don't forget to check a particular corner or to replace the batteries in a remote so guests don't go in and it doesn't work, or to change the batteries in a lock. And we generally require every now and then cleaners to send us photos so we know that they have finished the work and to our satisfaction, right? Now, you must have obviously heard of like people throwing parties and destroying the property. So you got to do whatever you can proactively to protect your investment. So we have cameras on the outside, obviously, to monitor that. But we also do noise monitoring, so we can know when people, they don't record audio inside, but it's just recording like noise levels. So if someone's throwing a party, we know about it and we can stop it. We can take some action before they get worse. So we measure like CO2 quality, things like that. So just we understand what's going on in our home without being very invasive. Maintenance. So that's again a huge one. Since people are always going in and out, you always know if something's on the verge of breaking. So you're going to try and fix that. On top of that, we do like frequent checks, like of all the systems, like water heaters, filters. You don't want that breaking in middle of a guest stay, right? That'll be really bad, not only for your revenue, but for your reviews, things like that. So you just have to be on top of these things. What we also do is like our neighbors, we give them a direct number to us. So not every neighbor is friendly about having a short-term rental in your neighborhood. Sometimes they are, sometimes they are not. But they can be your eyes and ears. If something is going bad, something's out of the ordinary, they can give you a call and let you know that, hey, something's off, or someone's trying to throw a party, or your house is burning down for whatever, it could be whatever, right? So they can really be your extension of your team. The other thing that we also do is guest verification. So people who we choose to keep in our properties, we basically do some kind of it's not like background check like we do with our long-term rentals, but just ID checks, just making sure that the people that we're renting to are who are the people they say they are. Right? So that's all that goes in the operations of it. Providing a 5-star guest experience. So that's everything from 24/7 guest communication. Our phones are always on. We never turn them off, either Ishita's phone or my phone, right? Sometimes we get people flying in at like 11:30 flight. They get to the Nubo house at like 1 o'clock at night, 12:30 at night, and sometimes they can't get in. They can't see the place. So they would give us a call. They would text us. So we need to be there to respond to it. Now, some people may see that annoyance. You can obviously find people to manage that. We don't really, we generally have systems put in place that we minimize that quite a bit, so we don't run into that. But every now and then we do. Every now and then we get like calls in the middle of the night that we have to attend to. On top of that, the resolution management, something does go wrong, something does break, they get something break. Every Airbnb has their own system, VRBO has their own system. So all of these properties have their own system to manage how you resolve these things. So you're gonna be just aware of all these processes for these various platforms. What we do, we also have a digital house manual, and that covers everything that you want to know about the house. Where are the remotes? What are we providing in the kitchen? How to turn on a TV? If there's a hot tub, how do you operate a hot tub? How do you operate a fireplace? If someone going in, they kind of know how to operate the house. So that reduces how much questions they're going to ask us. And on top of that, it provides an area guide. So we give recommendations for like our favorite Thai place, our sorry,
So
dogs.
sorry.
So our favorite Thai place, and then also like, places to go visit, or places to go rent a boat, things like that. So that's all in our guidebook. And then finally, accounting and payments. So that's unfortunately the boring side of things, but there's a lot more that goes in short-term rentals. Sometimes, like for example, VRBO, you're taking the guest payments yourself. You have a credit card processor, so you got to keep up with the receipts. You got to keep up with the reconciling, and that's a little bit more that is involved over there. And generally, if you're in a partnership, you're providing reports to your partners as to how much we made and so on and so forth, right? So you have your cleaners, you're paying them, your 1099 contracts, you're doing 1099, all that paperwork along with that as well. So yeah, that's just all the stuff that goes in the accounting side of things that you have to keep up with as well. And then photography, it's huge. People will click on something because they like what they see on Airbnb. The photography has to be on point. You can definitely get people that would stay no matter what, but if you have that photography that is really, really good, you generally end up, you can basically ask for more money. So it's worthwhile investment putting in, getting a photographer to come in and take good pictures for you guys. Now, obviously, with short-term rentals, there's huge about liability. So you make sure you have the right insurance in place. Someone maybe, because we rent out kayaks and we always read about someone's going to go hurt or injure themselves on the lake. So we want to make sure that our liability protection is in place. We have insurance to cover all of those things, and that way you're not worried about all these ancillary things that go with short-term rentals. Right. So yeah, I think I covered a lot, but these are some of the reasons that people really struggle with short-term rentals. One of the things, the very first point is evolving regulations, right? So this is, as per my understanding, I probably haven't checked in the last couple of months, but North Liberty, Coralville, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, they all have their own individual regulations. So for example, in North Liberty right now, there are no STR restrictions, but in Iowa City, you gotta be owner-occupied properties only. So you gotta be aware of that. There are ways to work around it. Me and Paul were just talking about that before we started this call. Some of the other things that I already talked about, like parties and identifying the best markets, and then identifying the best property and how to design them. So some of these things is why people struggle with Airbnbs. But if you're able to kind of get over these hump, then it's definitely it's a great vehicle to build wealth really, really fast. So it kind of in closing, kind of where I'm going, only have a couple of slides left, but I just wanted to give you what we are doing. So the way we look at it is just STR right now. It's an excellent time to invest in short-term rentals, and we're trying to take advantage of this pent-up demand from COVID that we have. And I know a lot of people are going to be traveling. A lot of people are going to choose short-term rentals over staying in hotels. So if I had the money, I would just buy as many STRs as I could at this particular point. So what we did is that, kind of what I talked about is the destination resorts in the coastal regions, the mountain lake regions, and the rural areas. Those are the ones that are going to doing really, really well. The urban locations are going to do better, but it's just going to take some time to get there, but they will come up as well. So we kind of evaluated a whole bunch of these markets, focusing on rural towns in destination areas that we would want to go enjoy ourselves. So that's basically just kind of plotting. These are all the vacation markets, so to speak. And just kind of categorizing them. We kind of studied all of these markets, not all of them, but most of these markets. And then you have some areas like your a big island, Hawaii or Hawaii, they are great vacation destinations, right? But they're just kind of hard to get to. You got to fly in to get into. So, but they are great vacation markets. The purchase price may be a bit high in those areas. And then you have the growth markets, like you have your Gatlinburg, and then you have the Lake of the Ozarks, and then you have some other areas in Florida. Those are growth markets. Those are on a growing trend. More and more people are going there. More and more people are going and hosting there. People are not worried as much about regulations changing because like the economy is based off travel. And then you have some on the left that are like supply constrained. Those are great markets to go in because there's a lot of demand, just not enough rentals there currently. So we studied a lot of these things. And then for us, what we are trying to do really is our goal is to acquire about 15 of these vacation rentals in the next 3 to 5 years. And we're not looking to necessarily purchase in Cedar Rapids area. Not saying that Cedar Rapids is a bad market. It's a great market. We just thinking about where we would want to go vacation. We already have a home here, so we don't want to invest in this market. So we're trying to find opportunities in areas that we would want to go invest and buy vacation rentals in those markets. And we have identified and narrowed down 3 areas that we are going to be investing in. I'm not disclosing that here today, but basically one is a beach town, one is a cabin in the woods, and one is basically like a ski town. Those are the areas. We are actively looking and putting offers in every day, trying to find a good deal. You know, we're looking for partners. So if this is something that excites you, if this is something that you guys think that anyone's interested in partnering with us, we're looking for someone who wants to be completely passive, to come on board, we'll manage everything type of thing. But if that sounds exciting to you guys, reach out to us. We can definitely have a conversation. I have a link here as well, and I can send out in the chat. We just have a partnership questionnaire just to make sure that we are right fit for each other. But you can always just reach out to us and we can have a conversation if that's something interests you. If you want to maybe have a vacation home somewhere in Florida, like Paul's background over there, if you want to make that a reality, and that may be an option for us if you want to work together. But if besides that, you know, we can help in many other ways as well. So Ishita is actually appointed by Airbnb as a community leader as well as the ambassador for this Eastern Iowa region. So she can help you with your listing setups. If you have an existing long-term rental and you're wondering, hey, you know, I just want to try and put it on short-term rental in the market, she can help you with that, and then kind of take it there, maybe do a design consultation, things like that. On top of it, we just do like basic consultation. If you just want to talk about a particular market, about your home, what the numbers look like, we can do that. We do offer like property management as well, if that's something you guys are interested in doing. Again, a lot of these things we do offer. We started going into that route, but we're not necessarily, you know, going all out advertising about this. If someone comes to us and they say, hey, can you help with it? We'll be happy to help. But it's not necessarily our bread and butter. It's not something that we are doing as an income for us. It's just something we are passionate about, something that we enjoy doing. So we're happy to help where we can, absolutely. So I think that was a lot of the content. So that's us. And I guess we can open it up to Q&A. And I guess I can give it back to Paul or Julie and go from there.
Thank you so much, Harshad and Ishita. That was so informative. Wow, that is a lot of information. You are right. You really packed it in there.
You're jamming in quite a bit. So.
And Ishita, your interior design is absolutely gorgeous. That looks so beautiful in your locations.
Thank you.
I am going to open it up for other people to ask you questions. Does anyone want to unmute themselves and ask a question?
I had a question.
Cool.
I know you mentioned your goal of 15 more short-term rental properties, and I know you're looking at different markets. In that scenario, how would your business model work with, I mean, logistically, with owning 15 more?
That's the number one question we get, obviously. You know, it's just like your long-term rentals, right? if you're a landlord, you may be going to your properties and checking them, checking on them every now and then, checking what's going on with them. We had this idea in mind that we want to buy properties in other areas. So even with our properties here locally, we manage them as if we don't live in the area. We manage them as if, you know, we don't have to go there.
Yeah.
So over the last year and a half, we've been working to set up our systems where I have, other than me wanting to go and stay at our North Liberty place just for myself, I don't go there. I don't touch it. I don't see it. Everything is managed entirely with our team and our systems that we have in set. So yeah, we actually just were under contract for a property in Lake of the Ozarks. And you know, the hardest part for us is not managing the property, is just making sure that the property is the right deal in terms of numbers. And it was a rehab project. So the rehab side of it did not work out, but we never ever worried about how we're going to manage logistically for a property. So I don't know who said this, but it was one of those quotes, you know, live where you want to live, invest where it makes sense. Someone said it, I've heard it in one of the podcasts somewhere. But I think I took that to heart. But I guess if you were to dive down, a lot of our systems that we have in place in terms of we manage our guests, that can be done remotely. Cleaning, we have a cleaning team that can be done remotely. A maintenance, a handyman, you need some of those team players in those markets, that can be done remotely. There is work, but in today with all the technology that we have, it can entirely be done remotely. So another way to look at it, I guess I'm going on a longer answer here, but like for 2 weeks that I should have talked about, we were on travel.
We were on a road trip.
We were on a road trip for the last 2 weeks. So we were not worried, oh, what's going to happen to our homes in Cedar Rapids. We had guests coming in.
We had 10 turnovers in those 15 days, but
yeah.
we did it.
So that's the whole point. We don't want to be locked in because we have these short-term rentals.
I think what we call is like our Airbnb Avengers need to be in the right place to get the work done at the right time. So that helps.
Yeah, that's very cool. If someone wanted to do the same thing as you were doing, I think you had mentioned that's one of the services that you would, consulting services that you would do. Okay.
Yeah, I know we do. We actually have our friends, you know, that's how it started really. They were like, hey, you know, I'm an engineer. I work with a bunch of engineers. A lot of my friends are engineers. So they're not necessarily in real estate, right? But they normally like their families and they invest in stocks and they see what we do and they kind of approach us like, hey, you know, we would love to buy a vacation home, but I don't want to deal with all this crap. So we do exactly that. Like we'd be happy to help. It's not, again, necessarily a big income source for us. It's just something that works very well with what we already have established. We have our own goals, obviously, where we want to get to. So if we can maybe partner with them, say, hey, let's buy something together in Florida. You know, we're exploring that currently. But if someone wants to come in and say, you know what, nah, I don't like partnerships. I just want to do my own thing. We are happy to help and manage the property, help set it up, you know, do all those things for them as well. We just did that for our friend who just bought a place in Kissimmee, Florida, in Disneyland. This is like just an hour south.
Yeah.
And
we did the interior design. We helped them design their place.
Figure out what's a good deal, what rents to provide, and what makes sense, and then we just kind of help them, coach them along the way, and now they are off and running on their own. So. Yeah.
Looks like Dave Pitts has a question.
Go
ahead, Dave.
I don't know if he has microfilm. Is he?
Is there something we need to do, Paul, for him to ask his question?
Maybe you can chat or type it.
You want to stop share?
Fine. Share the screen.
Yes, I sent him a text or a chat. I don't know if.
Hey, anyone else while we're waiting, I guess, on Dave?
I mean, I'd be interested in just, can you give a quick synopsis of what that partnership looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are doing different things. I guess one of the things I guess I can tell you what we are doing today is we're looking at a property in Florida, and then the way we would normally split this up is the partners would come in. It's just like LLC setup. They would come in with either 75 to 80% of the money down payment. So let's just say the property we're looking at right now. I'll round it up to make it easy. It's a $1 million property. It's just shy of that. It's a $1 million property, just maybe a block away from the beach. And then we can get into this at 10% down. As I said, the financing options are better, right? You don't have to get 20, 25% down. You can get 10% down second home loans. What we are restricted with is our DTI. So I'm at a point where I can't get a mortgage anymore based on my DTI ratio. So the partner that comes in, basically, we're getting the mortgage on his name, and they bring in the 75 to 80% of the down payment, and then we bring in the 20% of the down payment, and then we split everything 50-50. So we split the equity 50-50, we split the profits 50-50, we split everything else 50-50, and they don't have to do a thing. We entirely manage it ourselves.
And plus we get vacation.
Yeah, and plus, we for them, they basically get to stay in this property when they want to. We work out some of the logistics as that, how many days they can stay, and we're open to it. We're not like restricting in any way. So they're basically a family with 2 kids. So they said it would be great to like go down for 1 week in the summertime and maybe a week in the wintertime. So that's what would work with that partnership. That may not be the case for everything. Everyone's kind of unique, but that's kind of what we're looking at. So think of it from this way: for the money that they are putting in. So let's just say they're putting in $75,000. What rental property can you get for your $75,000 in Cedar Rapids if you want to do a long-term rental, right? And what would be your cash flow pay? I don't have the numbers on top of my head, but for let's just say 1% rule, if you're going by that, or 2% rule, you're looking at maybe making $750 or $1,000. I guess that's for the entire purchase price. So you're probably looking at $200, maybe $200 to $300 in terms of your cash flow. With this property, they're gonna cash flow about $1,500 to $2,000 a month. Right, so for their money, the cash on cash returns is absolutely insane. Plus, on top of that, all the personal benefits, right? So they get to stay in the property every time they go into Florida. So now they're not spending money to stay in a hotel. They're not spending money necessarily to vacation. It's a place that they call home. They can enjoy the appreciation. Now in Cedar Rapids, we have seen a lot of appreciation this past year. COVID just really raised all the rates up like 8-10%. But it's absolutely crazy what COVID has done in some of these markets. So the property that we're looking at, the owner purchased this property 2 years ago for $599, and they're now selling for $950. And that is not overpriced. So for that market. And the beauty of short-term rentals is, along with the property prices, the demand and the rental rates have gone up. So when I run the numbers, even at 900, it still cash flows positive, and not by a little bit, it still cash flows a lot. So from my point of view, I can go purchase this property at 950 and feel confident that I'm going to cash flow positive, have enough for myself and my partner, and enjoy all the appreciation that we're going to have in this property over the next 5 to 7 years, as well as have a place to go stay and visit, right? And then all that comes with it. So that purchase price, we decided that based on what that partner wanted. They wanted a place in Florida, and their income allowed them to have a mortgage that big. I have another friend who's interested in doing this, but we're probably looking at that 500 to 600 range. Right. So it just depends what your personal goals are, along with the financial situation as well. And then we just figure out what works. We have, like, the road trip that we talked about earlier was just exactly that. When we took a road trip, we went and visited a bunch of these markets that we thought are going to be the next big things. So Gatlinburg, Tennessee right now, for example, is the #1 short-term rental market in the country. But the secret is out. So a lot of people are going in, a lot of people are buying, you know. So it's just getting not as attractive anymore. But there are a lot of these other markets that are probably the next gateway markets, and we're looking at those markets, and that's where we're kind of putting those offers in. You know, so yeah, Paul, if you're interested in talking about that, let's connect. You know, this was just very high level. We can definitely go down into more details and kind of see if that's a good fit. So
Great. That sounds great. Yeah, thank you.
mhm.
Harshad, I have a question on the partnership as well.
Yeah.
What is your long-term vision for the property? Since the property is going to go in the partner's name, are you
Yeah, so the
taking
property,
ownership of the property?
yeah, the way we're doing it, the mortgage is essentially in the partner's name. The title is basically in both, and then we move it to an LLC, and then we just, you know, the 50-50 LLC partnership is what it is. Now, I don't like to, you know, we obviously in a partnership, I've done partnerships before. Adil's on the call, he's been a great partner for us, and there have been lessons learned through that process as well. So when we go in, I like to have an end goal, right? So any vacation rental markets, I normally like to do this partnership with a 7-year notional period, and basically say in 7 years we're going to sell it or we're going to refinance it. That way it doesn't feel like ever ending. It doesn't feel like, oh, what's going to happen down the path, right? So 7 years, and why 7 years? They've done a lot of research. Why 7 years, not 5 and not 10, and that's a whole different story. But 7 years is generally where what we say, okay, in 7 years we're going to evaluate if we're going to sell this property or have the option to refinance it, or one partner can purchase the other partner out. But ideally, in 7 years you sell it. You generally get tired of using that property, right? You take the gains, you take the appreciation from that market, and hopefully that partnership, if it has been good enough, you take that and put it into something else, and you move to another property. But 7 years is kind of what we notionally look at. Now obviously, some things can come up, and you know, you may say in 3 years, I don't know, World War III happens, and maybe you want to sell early. You absolutely can. So, yeah. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Yes. Hey, Dave. You wanted
Dave,
to-
are you ready for your question?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep. Hi, Dave.
Okay. Hi. I saw that you said that on the partnership part, 50K to invest. I didn't see the rest of that, what that was. Can you go back to that?
Yeah, I can. And you know, I honestly, in this presentation, I wasn't focusing a lot more on that, and I definitely can. But this was just like very basic things. What I was looking for is people, honestly, you know, someone who wants to buy a vacation home in some place that they want to go vacation in. And I'm looking for someone ideally who wants to stay entirely passive, because we can do all the work, and that's what we bring in. That's what we are good at. And I'm saying 50K minimum just because, you know, anything less than that, it's one of those things where we can get in and do it ourselves. So, you know, generally I don't want to get into a hassle of partnership, right? But normally what we find is some of these bigger properties in that 900 range or 1 million range are generally better returns. So that's why we're looking for partnerships in those ranges.
Okay.
There's no other criteria really. The big thing, and just being very upfront with, I guess, with everyone, is that for us, we have invested out to the point that I can't get any more mortgages. Now we can go commercial route, right? So you can get commercial mortgages on this, but then you have to do 25% down. And you can absolutely do that and then split that equally. Each partner goes in 15 and a half or whatever, and find a way to manage the sweat equity portion of it. But why do that when you can get into these properties at 10% down? You know, make the money work for you at the interest rates that we are seeing today. You can get 3.1 to, right now we're seeing, I think we got pre-approved for 3.2% on our vacation home, our second vacation home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 10% down. So you could get into $1 million property for 50K. Think about it that way.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm interested in that. And I've got a property that's got great views of the Cedar River that I'm just putting together right now. And I'd be interested to talk to you about Airbnb
Yeah,
and that.
absolutely. I would love to. You have my number. If you want to text one
Yep.
of us, just go ahead and do that. And this
Best time to call?
evenings are great. I work normally during the day, but evenings are great.
All right.
Anytime,
You'll get a
we'd
call
love
from
to
me.
connect with you, David.
Yep. Sounds great.
And it looks like some of you guys are more interested in the partnership aspect of it. I would be happy to maybe do another, like a Zoom call, and we can maybe get into a little bit more details of what that looks like and what we have done today. That's just obviously wasn't the focus of the presentation today, but that's absolutely something we'll be open to.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you, Harshad and Ashita. I'm going to give everybody just a couple more seconds to unmute if they want to ask anything.
Yeah.
But possibly we can do a follow-up Zoom meeting with more details on the partnership
Yeah.
for
absolutely.
anyone who's interested in that.
Mhm. Yep, would love to. Mhm.
Does that interest the other people that have mentioned that they would be interested in hearing more?
Yes, I'd be interested. I'd be definitely interested.
Okay, I guess either get a hold of Harshad or email me, because I've sent you out the emails, and let me know that you're interested, and we'll make sure that everybody can get on. Paul, I need to put you on the spot again, but would you want to host a Zoom meeting for that since you're interested as well?
Yeah, what day? I just want to make sure that I'm not out of town or something.
Yeah, we can figure something out. If it's a smaller group, we can do it one-on-one as
Yeah,
well,
one-on-one
right?
works
And that maybe people maybe
Yeah.
feel more, comfortable
Sharing.
talking and sharing, because I guess maybe the same thing doesn't apply for everyone. So we could definitely do a group call, but I guess maybe people may be more comfortable if anyone's interested in just maybe doing one-on-one.
Is that what you would prefer, Harshad, is that we just do one-on-one with you?
Yeah, that would be better, I think, just because I think everyone's situation is different, and then we can, definitely discuss what everyone's unique needs are, and if that's a better
Okay.
fit. I'd be happy to share more details in general and send that out or something. But I think, if you're talking about partnership, I think it becomes more of a individual situation can vary quite a bit. So.
Do you want to put up your screen that has your
Yeah,
phone number and
absolutely.
email
So-
again for anyone who needs
So
that?
you guys can email us at hello@airhouse.com, or you can text either of our cell phone numbers or the office number. You can call it. That does not get text, so don't text on 319-382. But our website, I was just putting it together not too long ago, so it should be, I think most of the information is on there, so it should be good to go.
We can even share our link of our investment partnership questionnaire on the chat box if you guys want to just download and fill in
Yeah, I
and
can
send
do
it to
that.
us back. We can get in touch with you all.
Okay, is that the end of our questions? Well, thank you very much. I'm going to give you guys a high five. You were outstanding. Everybody a high five as a thank you.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
Yeah,
having us.
thank you.
Very informational.
It's
I
fine.
do need everybody to stay on so I could ask just some of our general meeting questions of everyone. For our next meeting for July, who would be interested in having probably just a house tour of a house